Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Spooky Japan Podcast. Today, we're very excited to have a very special guest with us today. TK, she does for the love of history, and we can actually say this to her. Ohio, our new friend.
おはようございます。
おはようございます。
She actually does live here in Japan, so we don't have to try to explain.
Yeah.
It's closer to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or time zone.
Yeah. So we were excited. We were both just talking before we went live. It's like it's so weird that we're both the same. All of us here are the same time zone. Usually we don't have that on either podcast.
No.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. I'm very excited about it, not having to wake up super, super early in the morning to make this.
Mm.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, because that's also what we try to do is the whole. Okay, what is your time zone? But here's like, yes, you're in
Yeah.
Japan. We're in Japan. This worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the earliest I've had to wake up is like 4:00 in the morning for a 5:00 interview. So
But
that was the worst.
So how
Been
long
there,
have you
done
been
that.
into because you usually do urban legends on yours?
So I don't usually do urban legends. So I during spooky season, so during the month of August and the month of October, because Japan's spooky season is in August with
Yeah.
Mhm.
Obon and everything. I usually cover yokai and yurei and all manner of spookies during the
Mhm.
month of August. For the first time since I started my podcast on Instagram, I did 30 days of yurei and yokai, where I kind
Mhm.
of deep dived into what exactly is the difference between yurei and onryo and bakemono and yokai and all of that other stuff. So that was really fun to do this year. And then I've done a few episodes on some different scary stories and different yokai and things like that. So yeah.
I love how
Uh,
you know all that too. So we don't have to try and educate and explain it to you. You're like, let me try to explain everything to everyone else.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Like explain this like how do I do it right?
Mm.
Yeah. It's kind of like when I found everything on Instagram, I said, okay, this is a good explanation. That I don't have to go into it any further, and I don't have
Yeah.
to add, like, oh, like how do I say this right?
Yeah. If you ever need to use my videos as an explanation, please feel free to just show your guest.
We actually have posted
Oh,
some of your
really?
Yeah,
videos on our
yeah,
podcast feeds because we're just like, this is you, you guys are wondering what it was before. Here you guys go. Here's the
yeah,
perfect
Nice.
explanation.
yeah.
And plus,
It's a lot easier.
you're so entertaining in your videos to watch as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you so much.
I was like, this is the content I strive to also do
yeah.
one day. The
It's
stuff
Yeah.
that you
simple. It's easy to listen to. It's easy to understand, and explains it in amounts of depth that you need to learn, and you don't have to strain yourself just to understand it. That's why I like it.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I have a background in education. So I
Mm,
still have I
mm-hmm.
teach part-time still. And yeah, I was a high school teacher for 4 years and
Hmm.
then elementary school teacher for uh 2.5 years. So I
It
have,
helps, right?
yeah, it does help.
how long have you been into the urban legends?
My dad's favorite holiday is October, Halloween. He loves
Mm,
Halloween. My brother is also an October baby, so we love all things spooky in my
mm,
house. Specifically Japanese urban legends. I didn't start getting into them until I moved to Japan. I studied Japanese history in university, but it was all, history, and not really
Yeah.
like folklore and the legends and things like that. But my first soiree into the spookiness and like yokai was when I was introduced to the kappa.
Yes, that was my first.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
hilarious.
right? It's hard to beat, the little booty soul snatching guy. So I love the kappa. He's so great. So I first discovered it there. And then my best friend, who I call my unpaid intern, um, is very much into ghost stories and spookiness. And I live in Shikoku, which people often forget about Shikoku. It's a little forgotten island, but the people that live here, we know. And there's actually a lot of folklore, a lot of um ghost stories that happen here, that come from here. One of Japan's most like feared onryo, which is the malevolent spirit, is Emperor Sutoku, and his body is still over in Kagawa, and my friend and I, we went over and we visited that temple, and it was really cool. So yeah, that's how I kind of got into it.
That is so cool.
Yeah. The kappa was the first one I learned about here. It's the first one I also did a TikTok on. So to hear your first one was also kappa, I'm like, man, what? That is the one. That must be the one everyone starts with. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I tell people, and they ask me what's my favorite urban legend. I'm like, well, the kappa I have a soft spot for because that was the first one I really learned about.
Yeah.
Yeah. The kappa is definitely the first, but my favorite is Emperor Sutoku. I'm a Sutoku stan. I love that guy. I think he got a raw deal by being banished from the capital, and yeah. So he's my favorite. If I had to choose a favorite spirit in Japan, it's definitely that one.
I also recommend for people starting out, especially when they're coming here, I recommend for them to also learn about the kitsune.
Oh
If you
yeah.
want to go visit any shrines. And I was like, I learned about the kitsune, and I'm glad I did, because then I went to the shrines. And everything makes more sense what you're seeing. Because if you don't know about the kitsune, the statue is just going to look so random to you.
Yeah.
But when you know the history of it, you find it more interesting. You're like, oh yeah, that's what
The kitsune is a really good one too. Tanuki are always fun. If you're into Ghibli movies, Tanuki is great. I think that was my first yokai episode, actually, was the Tanuki. Yeah.
That's interesting.
What would you say the creepiest one is here?
The creepiest one? The creepiest urban legend or yokai or
Either, or both.
Yeah.
both. I definitely think one of the creepiest is just weird. There is a yokai. I cannot remember its name off the top of my head. Kurote. It's the black hand that comes out of the toilet and like tickles your butt. That's just weird to me.
Yeah.
It's so creepy. Like, what are you doing, my guy? So that one's super creepy. As for urban legends, I think Emperor Sutoku and gosh, what is his name? Masakada? The guy who got his head chopped off and then
the flying head of Japan.
yeah, the flying head.
Yes, I've told people about that. I was like, yeah, we have the flying head of Japan. And then he had only 2 children survived
Mhm.
because obviously
Mhm.
here in Japan, if you go against the emperor, not only
Mhm.
were you beheaded, but your whole entire family was, social
Mhm.
media terms, unalived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And another cool thing is about his daughter.
She
So
does she's known for the frog magic
yeah,
and
she's known
raising
for
the
frog
giant
magic.
skeleton.
Mhm.
Mhm. Mhm.
But a lot of
Yeah.
people are like, "How did she still lose that battle?" I'm like, I don't think they said. They just said even though she had frog magic and skeletons, even a giant skeleton,
Mhm.
she still lost that battle.
These
Mm.
are they're moral stories, you know. So how
Yeah.
could the emperor lose? How could the one who is appointed by Amaterasu lose the battle against the evil yokai? So a
Yeah.
lot of these like folk tales and urban legends are or kaidan in this case, which is Japanese ghost story. They're
Mhm.
oftentimes like moral lessons. That's the kind of cool thing about Japanese um scary literature is
Mhm.
that a lot of it is moral lessony. So if you look at the Tales of Moonlight and Rain
Yeah.
Mhm.
by Ueda Akinari, I think is who it is. A lot of those stories are just like moral lessons. So they're scary stories. They're like the Aesop's fables of
Mhm.
Japan.
Mhm.
Yeah, a lot of people here in Japan don't consider urban legends part of the paranormal.
Mhm.
And
Mm,
I think it's just to them, it's just more storytelling, where as you
Mhm.
said, it's pretty much life lessons
Mhm.
or
mhm.
warnings, I guess, for other people that would warnings for other people to come. Like, don't go against the emperor or you're gonna
Mm.
lose.
Yeah, exactly.
Deep clean your house or this cryptid's gonna enter your home.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's exactly what it's like.
And Irene can tell you how many. Is there a lot that there is there a lot of urban legends that if you don't have a don't deep clean your house, they're gonna either come in or bad luck.
There are plenty. Like when I get up, I do this, this, and this, and this, and this. If I don't do that, I'll be in trouble. Like mentally, you just learn as you go along. Especially when you first come to the country, right? Okay, you gotta learn about that. You gotta learn about that. You gotta remember this. You gotta remember that. Okay, I gotta go through these certain steps from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, like what to do, what not to do, and how to. And if you can't remember, boy, you better remember. Like kind of like the right. It's just it's like almost like part of life, right?
Mhm.
It's actually it's kind of like embedded into you. And
Yeah.
children too, they learn really fast
Mhm.
what what they're supposed to do, and what they're not supposed to do from the time they're little, because there's so much into anything that has to do with paranormal is all about Japan, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
From the time they go to school, they learn about it at a very young age, and it sticks with them right to their adulthood, right?
Yeah.
It seems like that, and yet on the other side of it, they don't want it to interfere with their lifestyle, right? So it's almost like being afraid of it not I don't know, coming into the realm. I think more or less, right?
Mhm.
So it's yeah, well, that's all paranormal, isn't it? Going, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Is it? Yes, it is.
Hmm.
And they get kind of scared because when you talk about it frightens them. Like they'll hightail it out of there.
No, no.
They go, wait a second, it's not that bad. Like, oh yes, it is. No, it isn't. I think they're afraid more than anything else of it
Well,
coming
as
into
someone
their.
actually did reach out to me who does the urban legends here in Japan, why is Japan not into the paranormal when it comes to like actual like ghosts, especially like in America? There's so
Hmm.
many paranormal teams to investigate. Here in Japan, if you looked up for a paranormal team, you're probably not going to find anything.
No.
Because as you said, you couldn't really find anyone else in Japan until we kind of found each other. And I was like,
Yep.
yeah, this right here, everyone, is paranormal community in Japan, pretty much.
It's just me. And you go, it's like, and she goes, "What?" And I go, "Yep, just me." At least I'm the only one who will come up and say it right in public.
Yeah.
But as far as public is concerned, yeah, I don't talk about it.
Just because for what I've been told from someone is Japan is more superstitious than even religious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thought
that's
about
what
it, I'm like, so accurate now that I think about it.
yeah. I would say as a whole, the country is more stitious than superstitious.
Yeah. 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 I think everyone's so afraid of it coming into their whatever their space. They don't want it in their space. They know, they accept it that it's there, but don't come into my space. More like, and I think they're more afraid of that than anything else, right? So if I do talk about this, either I don't want to hear it, or uh yeah, just over there. Like it's more like that.
Yeah, out
And
of sight, out of mind. Well, I think it's also
yeah.
there's so during the Edo period, kaidan
Mhm.
turned into kabuki, right? So you have the
Yep.
kaidan, the Japanese ghost stories, and they were often co-opted. Some of the most famous kabuki theater performances are ghost stories. They are kaidan.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I think one of the most famous cannot remember the name right now. Let me Google it really quick. But it is a story about a woman who is poisoned
Oh.
by her
Mhm.
husband. So she's poisoned by her husband
Yep.
because her husband wants to marry the lady next door, and then the lady next door
Mhm.
and her family conspire against his current wife, and they do all of these things to like try to um kill her, but she just isn't killable. And then in the end she
Mhm.
does turn into a ghost and then
Mhm.
haunts
Mhm.
her ex-husband. I don't know, her husband, who is no longer her husband because she's dead now.
Yeah.
Give
Mhm.
me 1 second to find what the name of that kabuki is called. um
Okay. But isn't that normal in Japan, right? You don't want to get divorced, so you kill your wife, and
the
she comes
Yotsuya
back and she haunts
Kaidan.
everybody. Yeah, and she
Yeah.
haunts everybody.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
yeah,
very common for
yeah,
kaidans to be revenge
yeah,
stories, or
yeah,
the
yeah,
wife coming back or a lady coming
yeah,
back and seeking
yeah,
revenge and things like that. So,
yeah.
yeah, it's so interesting.
It's so normal. Like everyone's saying, "You're kidding, right? That's scary." I said, "No, that's normal. This is Japan, right?" And I'm thinking, "Yeah, that's normal." And they go, "You sure? You're kidding, right?" And I go, "No, it's normal." Like, if you look at all the kind on stories of Japan, it's mostly women coming after men, or women coming after whoever, like a vengeful spirit, right? We call it, right? It's mostly that, and it just, yeah. To me, it's normal. And they say, "How do you call that normal?" Because it is normal. It's normal with this country, right? If you look in the way back and long time ago, um, it was very shameful to get a divorce, right? Or even think of not thinking of uh finding somebody. If you finding somebody else, you find somebody else, you find another love. So instead of getting a divorce, you said, okay, poof, bye, there you go, out with you and with the new, right? It's not normal. Like we would think, okay, it's easier to get a divorce and find another way of finding your happiness, but no, poof, off you go. Like, and here we go, out with the old, in with the new, and then you're creating this chain reaction of once that person's dead, they don't realize what happens to that dead person who can come back and haunt you, right? So there you go. And there's your new um vengeful spirit, and it's gonna come after whoever or whatever, and it doesn't really matter, and it doesn't care, and there you go, bye bye. And then you find other spirits, other people finding that they're gonna be unalive, or they're gonna be dead, or whatever happens, right? In the end everyone seems like coming after everybody else, and it's yeah, there you go, your chain reaction of
Yeah.
and they said, how can you live in a country like that? I said, oh, it's easy, you just don't worry about it. Right? They said, isn't that scary? I go, no, it's not scary. Well, because I'm a good person. It won't happen to me. I know that much.
Yeah, usually if you're a good person, you don't cheat on anybody or you don't
No.
steal from a temple, you're pretty
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
amazing bad
Exactly.
luck. You take anything from a temple.
No, I couldn't even think of doing that, right? Like, really? Is there that kind of people that would do that? I guess so. You know?
Not so much in Japan, and that's one thing you love about Japan
Mm,
is people will lose. This is actually an example of I know so many people who've done this where they accidentally left a wallet full of cash,
mm,
and it did get back to them because everyone is so much more honest here, and it had all the cash still in it
mm-hmm. Yep.
compared to America, where if you lose your wallet, it's gone forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I left my phone in the basket of my bicycle when I went to the grocery store. Did a full grocery shop, came back out, phone was still there.
Mm, that's interesting. I left my wallet in my bicycle basket. It was gone.
Oh, no.
See, it does occasionally happen, so we can't say it never happens because it does
No.
occasionally happen.
Yeah, definitely depends on where you are. Out here in the Inaka, you're all
Yeah.
right. Nothing's gonna happen.
And I
Maybe in
am.
the bigger cities, definitely take
Well, she's in
caution.
Tokyo, so that's also what
Yeah.
we also have to explain to people in the podcast. I was like, you're gonna hear me say my part of Japan because I'm in Nagasaki.
Yeah.
My town is obviously considered more country rural compared to
Mm,
Irene, who's in Tokyo, which is the exact opposite.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And Shikoku is the Inaka of the Inaka, and I am in the Inaka city of the Inaka. I've got rice fields to my left, front, and right, and then I've got a shipbuilding factory behind me and the ocean. So that's it. But I love it. It's great. I can see the mountains from my yard, and it's wonderful.
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know. I've always liked the city. I lived in the country one couple of times, and I said, yeah, I can't do this. Gotta live in the city.
And I'm the opposite. Every time I go to Tokyo, I feel like I have a panic attack. I'm like, there's too many people here.
Well, you see, I live in Nerima, and yes, it's a big city attached to Tokyo, but I live in a very quiet cul-de-sac.
Oh, that's nice.
And as you can hear, you can't hear any cars going by, right? You can't hear nothing. So the street is just a couple seconds away from me. It's a really busy street in the intersection, but beyond that, it's really quiet. And I used to live in Saitama, and it was so noisy. You could hear the train going. I lived near the train tracks. You could hear the
Mm.
train going by. When I moved here, I said to my husband, first night, I said to him, I can't sleep. He goes, it's not noisy enough. I said, and then, people said, you live in the city? I go, yeah. How come you, how come I don't hear anything when you're on the phone? Oh, because it's really quiet. The only thing that you can hear is the airplanes going by. Because we're in my part of the city. You can Haneda Airport is not too far away. Okay,
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
so I can hear the airplanes. I can even see the airplanes taking off and landing. Because I can even see the tails and the wings. I can see what airplane it is and where it's coming from. Right. And then yeah, that's the only noisy part that you can hear. And you can hear the helicopters from the military bases going up, patrolling the city, right? But other than that, it's so darn quiet. Like you can hear a pin drop in the city, and I go, dang it, it's supposed to be Tokyo. Like,
Yeah.
really?
But that's the best of both worlds, I think. You get the quiet, but you also,
Yeah,
can be super close to Tokyo. So that's great.
yeah, and it's so convenient. Like, like my bus stop just to go to the train station is like, I think it's a walk is like 2 seconds. You have to walk 2 seconds, and you at the bus stop, and then it's like 30 minutes from three train stations. I live right in the middle, so I go one, the other one, and the other one, and like it's right here, and then everyone's like, and they go, "Geez, isn't that convenient?" And I go, "Yep, it is convenient." But when you get used to it, you can't move anywhere else. Like you kind of like spoiled, I think, in a way, when you live in a big city like this. And yes, it's noisy. Yes, it can be aggravating. Yes, it can be wall to wall people. But in a way, it's really quiet here. But, I'm kind of used to it. I'm kind of like it. I moved here through no 5 years now. It's kind of nice. You get
That's
kind of
awesome.
spoiled. You get kind of spoiled in a way because I don't know. I don't know. I've tried living in the countryside, and I said, "Yeah, I can't do this." I was pulling my hair out.
Yeah, it definitely does take some getting used to. But I've only ever, I mean, I used to live in Hiroshima for 2 years, and that was not the countryside. But
No,
still, Hiroshima's nowhere near as big as even Osaka. So,
yeah, yeah. But Hiroshima is a nice city. You have different things. You have all kinds of restaurants. You have a lot of places to eat. You have a lot of places to relax. You have a lot of parks, right? So
mm-hmm.
yeah, it's different parts of Japan has their own nice vibe and their own, I don't know, twang.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
I've never been to Shikoku before. I gotta go.
Yeah, most people haven't. But it's really nice if you are into the spooky, which clearly both of you are.
Yeah.
um
Mhm,
there is a museum in Kochi called the
mm,
Ekingura Museum, and
mhm,
Ekin was a woodblock print artist. He was an
mhm,
ukiyo-e artist, but he um did a lot of like grotesque art, a lot of
mhm,
kaidan art.
mhm,
Is he turned kaidans into ukiyo-e woodblock prints.
mhm,
And there is a whole festival where they take out his old panels, because he did triptychs, so like the
mhm,
three panels together,
mhm,
and they're supposed to be viewed at night by lamplight.
mhm,
And in the very beginning of the museum, they give
mhm,
you an electric little lantern, and you go into the very, very dark room and you take your little lantern and you walk around and you view his original woodblock prints. So they keep it in the dark, one, to preserve the inks, and two, because that's how you're supposed to view them, is at nighttime, because he created these woodblock prints for a festival that is in the summertime. I can't remember if it's for Obon or a different holiday in October that just like that city celebrates. But it's a really, really cool museum, the Ekingura Museum in Kochi. It's a little bit of a ways away if you don't have a car. Shikoku is great, but public transportation is not the best. But you can get there by train and then a bus, and then like a 15-minute walk. But I just recommend renting a car when you come to Shikoku. It's way better. So that museum is really, really cool. And it's small and it's out of the way and there's not a lot of people, but it's one of the coolest museums I've been to in Japan.
Yeah. It's funny because Obon, where you are, is totally different from Obon where I am, because in Tokyo, Obon starts in July. Unfortunately, it's my birthday on July 16th is Obon.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Dead people just coming back for your birthday to celebrate you.
Yeah. So I'm always making sticky rice like ohagi on my birthday, and I go, yeah, great celebration, right? Celebrating the dad on my birthday. Okay, great. Thanks, Mom. She goes, you're welcome. I go, my mom forgets about it. She goes, oh yeah, forgot about that. I go, yeah. But yeah, it's one of the most creepiest celebrations. My son hates Obon.
Oh
He
no.
hates it. He hates it. He goes, because he's also an empath and a clairvoyant. And he says, you know what? Everything comes back in July. It's the most haunted month of the year, right? For us, it's July. For everyone else, it's August, right? The 20,
Oh,
24th,
interesting.
25th, 26th, and 27th. It's a 3 day. And here, it's only 1 day. We celebrate on one. But yeah, it sees as the most creepiest months because you see everything did come back. And for people who don't know, um, it's the most celebrated month where people go out dancing and having, and they have fireworks, they have street vendors out, and they're, they have the shrines come out, and everyone's enjoying themselves and having a nice cold beer at nighttime and watching the dancers play, and hearing the the flutes come out, and the drums come out. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's a cool holiday. It's a
yeah.
really neat holiday. And another endorsement for a reason why you should come to Shikoku is in Tokushima.
Mhm,
There is something called the Awa Odori, which is a 3-day long dance party,
mhm,
from October 16th to the 18th, I believe.
mhm.
And yeah, it's in celebration of Obon. It's really, really cool. It's so beautiful. People just
Mm.
get drunk and
Yeah.
dance for 3 days. It's really cool.
They're wearing their yukata, and then yeah, they just, I think it's the most family oriented time of the year, I think. Don't you think?
Yeah, with the exception of like New Year's, Oshogatsu, I think.
Yeah.
But maybe
Yeah.
that's just Kansai. Like my husband, his family is from Hyogo and Osaka, and that's like
Mhm.
the family holiday.
Yeah. Yeah. Here too. Here too. It's like the family holiday in Oshogatsu, and we always spend it with our family. And I always make 3 day osechi, right? That's what I do. Yeah. It takes me 3 days to plan it and put it together and make it and sit in the kitchen all morning, all afternoon, and all evening cooking. I go, oh God, okay.
Yeah, right. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
One thing I'm surprised that a lot of people don't know about, especially the people who love the Loch Ness Monster, is Japan technically has two.
Yeah, there's a lot of little sea creaturies. There's a whole kingdom under the water.
Mhm.
So it's the Ryukyu. It's not Ryukyu because that's in Okinawa. That's the
Mhm.
real kingdom. It's Ryu
Mhm.
something. There's a whole palace underwater according, to the yokai legend.
Mhm.
You've got Umibozu, who's not really a Loch Ness monster, but he's, an amorphous blob that eats
Mhm.
ships during
Mhm.
August. And
Yeah.
there's all sorts of little sea creatures in the ocean
Yeah.
and in the lakes and stuff. The kappa, not
Mhm.
technically a Loch Ness monster type, but he loves the
Yeah.
river.
Yeah.
There is a temple in Edo part of Tokyo, and I told Irene I'm gonna have to see this because it's dedicated still to the kappa.
Mhm.
But they have
Interesting.
they have an arm, they have a mummified arm
Mm.
of what they said is a kappa. I'm like, I have to see
Interesting.
this mummified arm, Irene.
Mm. Yeah.
I have
It's.
to see it.
I think there's
I
one
should.
place. It's called Kappabashi, and it's dedicated to the kappa. And they have. It's a street, and what it usually is for is if you're opening up a restaurant or they have places where you can buy knives, plates, um, pots and pans and stuff like that. It's just one big section of Japan area where you can buy stuff like that. And when you walk down the street, you can see all these little kappa statues all over all on both sides of the street. It's just one narrow place, and it's very dedicated to people who are in the restaurant business. Plus, it's dedicated to the kappa itself.
Yeah,
And
because not all kappa are bad. There's lots of
yeah,
malevolent but also benevolent kappa out there in the world. So
yeah, yeah,
that's interesting.
yeah. And everyone goes there if they're opening up a shop or something like that. It's a nice area. It's a really busy area. Um, I've only been there a couple times because I have a busy. When you live in Japan, you have a busy life. You have
Yeah.
tons of stuff to do, so you have to make time to go there and just
Mhm.
go
And you
there.
haven't started a restaurant, so
No, 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 no. Kind of like too busy for that one. Yeah, but yeah, it's there are places like that here that are dedicated to certain yokai, but it's uh it's just totally different from what the meaning is, right?
Yeah, in Shikoku, no,
Mm.
I talk about Shikoku a lot because I love it. There's
Yeah.
in Matsuyama, which is the capital city of Ehime, there in front
Mm-hmm.
of the Shakusho
Mm-hmm.
City Hall. There's the
Mm-hmm.
word. In front of the city hall, there is a little tiny little shrine. And it's dedicated to a tanuki
Mm-hmm.
that drove out all of the kitsune from Shikoku.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, really cool. There was a little tanuki that went and saved the daimyo, the lord, the feudal lord of
Mm-hmm.
Shikoku, or I think maybe just Ehime. I can't remember what the name of old Ehime. Io is the old feudal name for Ehime.
Mm-hmm.
And the lord of Io, his wife, got,
Mm-hmm.
switched out with a kitsune, and
Mm-hmm.
then the tanuki heard about it and they were like, "Hey, you're surrounded with all these tanuki. So you and all your kitsune friends need to get out of Shikoku." And the kitsune were like, okay, we'll leave, but we'll come back once a steel bridge is built between Shikoku and mainland.
Mhm.
And up until, gosh, I can't remember when the Shinonami Kaido was built, but whenever that was built, then
Mhm.
all the kitsune came back apparently.
For people out there who don't know, the tanuki is technically considered good luck here in Japan.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've shared pictures of it on the podcast page, and everyone was just obsessed with how
Yeah.
cute it is.
Yeah.
It's so cute. But they're little tricksters. So if you go to restaurants,
Mhm.
uh often you can see a tanuki on the outside of the
Yeah.
restaurant.
Yeah.
And that is to let other tanuki know that a tanuki has already been here so that they don't need to come and play a trick on the restaurant. Because in the Tanuki legends, Tanuki would come because they're shapeshifters. They can turn into whatever they want to. And
Mhm.
so they would turn into, humans, and then they would go to the restaurant and then they would pay. And then as
Mhm.
soon as they left, that
Mhm.
money would turn into leaves or rocks or sticks or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've got the statue Tanuki outside to let other Tanukis know, oh,
Yeah.
this restaurant has already been tricked on, so you're good.
Yeah. So don't come here, And Tanuki is the most unguarded creature ever, and it's got a big pot belly. It's got big kintama. Okay, I'm not gonna translate that word in English. It's got big balls hanging down. It's usually a male, right? It's usually a male.
Statues too, yes, the actual
Yeah,
tanuki.
and sometimes it has a hat on, sometimes it doesn't have a hat on, sometimes it has clothes on, and the belly's sticking out. And you rub its belly if you want a certain type of luck or something like that, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Why do we get into this area, right? Okay, we're explaining the sex of the Tanuki, right? But yeah,
They have
they're
some
really.
mean they have some mean sounding growls too. Just because we have a couple that live on my street, so my dog found where they like to sleep, and she
Mhm.
tries to play with them, and they just growl at her, and I'm like, yeah, you don't want to
Yeah,
play, do you?
because tanukis are real animals.
Yeah,
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 They're a mythical creature, but they also are animals. They're in the dog family, which is crazy. You would think that they're
yeah.
in the raccoon
That's what I
family because they're
tell
called,
people, because
yeah,
everyone
Japanese
assumes, oh,
raccoons.
raccoon dog, a raccoon
yeah,
family.
yeah,
I was like, it's actually like no, it's actually a in the canine family.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it's so crazy. It's really interesting.
And they have a kind of like they have a black mask. They're usually brown in color, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they
And they
look
have a
like raccoons.
yeah, and they have a big fuzzy tail, like a
Yeah,
fox.
they're
It's
very
like
cute.
a fox, a raccoon, and a dog. You mix it all together. This is what you come out with, right?
Exactly. A tanuki.
Yeah, and they usually like living in the bamboo forest. So that's why if you ever go picking up for bamboo shoots, you gotta be careful. you
You might
find
have to fight a tanuki for a bamboo shoot.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They're kind of cute. I've seen one up front. My veterinarian, when we took our cat to the vet, I said, "What's that?" And he was pacing up and down in his cage. He said, "Oh, I rescued it." And I said, "Oh, okay, what are you gonna
Ooh,
do?" He goes,
crazy. Can you domesticate a tanuki? I don't I don't know if that's
No,
a
I wish you
I
could.
possibility.
I'd
haven't.
try. I would try. Now, the first time I saw one was like it was near the side of the road in my apartment building, and we had to look it up because we're just like, "What? You're not a raccoon. What are you?" So we had to look it up. There's at least two on my street. I don't know if there's. I haven't seen many more.
Hmm.
I don't know if that rain's really. hasn't seen, I think, what, just near a bamboo area, mostly?
Yeah, they're mostly in the bamboo forest. That's where they live. So if you ever out in your car, you see a sign that says "Watch out." And they have a "Watch out for this raccoon dog," right? Because they'll run across the street.
Yeah, they have Tanuki crossing signs.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like in North America, you'd see "Watch out for the bears," right? Or "Watch out for the foxes." In Japan, you see "Watch out for the tanukis," right? Or
Yeah,
you,
watch out for the Tanuki. In my area, we have watch out for the monkeys because we've
yeah,
got monkeys in the mountains.
yeah,
Um, so you gotta watch out for them.
yeah.
Um, and what else? We've got Tanuki, we've got monkeys, we've got
In some
wild
place,
boar. We have so many wild boar.
I
yeah.
was
It's
about to say that we
insane.
have a wild boar problem here on the East
Yeah.
Coast
Oh,
too.
they're an invasive species, and yeah, they
Yeah.
like to they like to stab children, and it's just really dangerous, right?
Yeah. My
So,
poor sister-in-law bought a new car and then was
mhm.
driving it home the day she got it, and a wild boar came out and rammed the side of her car. I know.
Kind
Crazy.
of explain that to your insurance company, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Well, I think here they're used to it though, because there's so much wild boar.
Mhm. For sure. So, yeah.
I'm just
Unfortunately, you
like,
do have to get a police report, which and a lot of people in America don't realize when the police do an investigation here, even if it's just a little bit of fender bender or you you hit a boar, it becomes like an FBI investigation almost, where things around are shut down. They investigate everything, and you're just like, is this much investigation really necessary? That is my
yeah,
biggest fear getting an accident here, because that's one thing they do tell us. Like, yeah, they're gonna act like it's an FBI investigation. So,
yeah,
good
yeah.
luck.
Yeah, yeah. You definitely
Yeah.
have to film everything. I just
Yeah.
started driving when we moved here. We've lived in this town for about a year now,
Hmm.
and you definitely need a car if you're not in like Matsuyama or Tokushima.
Hmm.
Or sorry, not Tokushima, Takamatsu.
Hmm.
In Shikoku. I'm so sorry if you can hear my cat being an absolute lunatic over there in the corner. Um,
Okay.
so I had to get my driver's license, and yeah, it's a little bit scary driving here, and I'm so afraid of getting in an accident.
Yeah. I just don't bother taking my bicycle out. Everyone has a bicycle in Tokyo, right? Sorry, not doing that. Like, not going on that street. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
You can get to a lot more stuff in Tokyo on a bike, though, compared to other places like where we live, where you have to have a car.
Hmm. Yeah.
For sure. For
Uh,
sure.
we don't. We could just go to the bus stop. It's close, and it's you got more buses here, and it's running really fast. It's like every 5 minutes, right? We're good. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, we have a another guest
It's
here.
okay.
This is Ted, the history cat. She's the resident history helper.
Well, I like them. They're cute.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah. Depending on where you live, depending on the public transportation
Yeah,
is
left side.
can be really good or really bad, right? And some
for
places
sure.
you do need a car. I'm serious about it because when you get off the airplane, you go, okay, now what do I do, right? Especially in Okinawa too, you definitely need a car. You can't travel without one because if you're gonna wait for public transportation, you're gonna be stuck in the airport for 6 hours before one
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
by, right? Yeah.
right.
Been there, done that. But
Or take a
yeah,
taxi. But taxis especially from the airport, get really expensive.
yeah, yeah. especially, yeah. And then after so many hours, like after midnight, you're doomed, right?
Yeah, things close super early here.
Yeah, yeah, here too. Because my
I get
daughter,
used to that.
she gets off at 11 o'clock at night because sometimes she has to do book work at work, and she has to walk home from the train station.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and she had to do that last night too.
Oh,
Unfortunately, yeah,
poor thing.
yeah. It's like, well, it's life in Japan, right? You have no transportation. You walk or you take a cab.
True.
Yeah, yeah. And everyone's like, "Oh, aren't you afraid?" I go, "Afraid of what?" You know?
Yeah. Starting to drive here, and a lot of people here even agree. The Americans will agree that you're so used to driving the right side of the road that sometimes your brain stops working, and you're like, "Wait a minute, oh, okay," because your brain is like, "No, this is not right." And you kind of it's hard to explain where your brain all of a sudden literally
Yeah,
is like, "Wait, what's going on?"
Yeah. I
yeah.
can't tell you how many times I've turned my windshield wipers on instead of my turn signal.
Yes, we all do that here too.
Yeah.
It's like, I need to windshield wipers.
Oh,
Look crazy on a
oh.
sunny day, and your windshield wipers are going.
Right.
What the heck, right? Oh
Or
dear.
your brain malfunctions because you'll be driving the left side of the road, and your brain's like, "Wait,"
Yeah.
or when you're turning left,
Mm,
you don't. There's the beginning. I always wanted to go across, then turn left. To where here it's just turn left. You don't
Yep.
yeah.
cross because
And
my brain is just
yeah. And there's no right turn on red. You can't just
No,
turn.
no, 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 no. You'd be in
right
trouble
turns
if
are
you did
facing
that.
now.
Mhm.
You'd be in
Consider left
trouble if you.
turns because if you turn right, you're going into traffic.
Yeah,
Exactly, yeah.
yeah. uh, and the roads are a little bit narrower. They're a little bit. They're Sometimes you might only find 2 lane traffic. Sometimes you might only find 1 lane traffic. Right. So
Some of the
Yeah.
roads here have made me want to cry just because it's two-way, but it's
hmm
barely big enough for one vehicle,
yeah,
and the
yeah,
stress. And
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I still don't know. When you're
Mhm.
going down a road that's two-way, but it's only big enough for one vehicle, I still don't know what the correct procedure is for how you navigate that. I'm like, I honestly don't know.
Yeah. That's
Like,
the how
if
you get into my neighborhood is it's a one-way street, but it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
yeah, they're like, "Well, you're
You.
supposed to get out of the way. Someone's supposed to get out of the way while the other person's able to pass." And I'm like, "Yeah,
Mhm.
but sometimes there's nowhere to get off." So I'm like, I can't pull over for you to get around." I'm like, I don't understand how people know what to do."
Mhm.
Pulling
Mhm.
over could be going up the side of a embankment to the pull over.
Yeah.
Or like, or you got one side there's a ditch, or the other side there's a river going through, and you go,
Yeah, and that's
"Oh."
what I'm saying. I'm like, I can't pull to the side, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do when another vehicle comes.
Yeah, yeah, it can get pretty sketchy.
Yeah,
Then
especially going
Irene's
from.
husband knows how to drive in the Shibuya crossing. I'm like, I would be terrified. With how many people there are, I'd be. You'd see me trying to cross the road crying, literally in
Yeah,
tears, because
It's
it's
gonna
yeah,
be
so
a
big.
hard no for me. No, thank
I was
you.
like, "How does your husband know how to drive that?" I was like, "Well, it took him 5 years, but he's figured it out."
yeah.
I would just cry, Irene.
It doesn't
That's
bother
why I
him
tell people,
anymore.
I'm like, if I had a car in in Tokyo
hmm
and GPS told me Shibuya, I'm like, "Nope, we're going another alternative route, not going near there." Would not figure it out.
Or go through Aoyama. Yeah, he knows how to do that. It doesn't bother him anymore. And my friends are going, "Oh my god, like this, they're doing that." I said, he said, "Oh well, take a look at scenery. That's nice." They go, Nope, not.
No, thank you.
And I had my cousin came here, and I said, and then he brought his license. I said, and my husband said, "You want to drive?" He goes,
Mm-mm.
he said,
No, no.
and my husband said, "Oh, come on, you could drive here. I'll give you the car keys." He goes, and that was so funny. That I kind of like laughed. I, I, I think he does it on purpose just to bug the hell out of him.
So where did you get your research from for all your urban legends?
I get my research from a bunch of different places. So, I love yokai.com.
Hmm.
That's a really, really great resource.
Use that a lot.
Mm.
Yeah, and I get the Ueda Akinari's Tales of Moonlight and Rain. I that has a lot of great stuff. The local libraries have
Mhm.
some really cool things. I love going to the library here, and they have, like, the history and legends of whatever place. So that's one place where I really like to get my information. um Shrines and temples will
Mhm.
have some excellent pamphlets. Sometimes they're
Mm.
in English, sometimes they're not, but Google, some of the kanji are a little bit hard for me, so
Mhm.
you can always just use Google Translate. I love that kind of stuff. And yeah, there's a lot of good things on Google Scholar. I use Google Scholar a lot.
Mhm.
And yeah, those are some of my favorite places to get information on yokai.
I love using
Mm.
the internet sometimes because I put in. I was looking up information for the haunted doll, so I put in Ukiku. So
Mhm.
it comes back and it's like, did you want the doll or the ghost story? And I was like, yes,
Both.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
The answer to that is yes.
Yeah.
Give me
Yeah.
the
And a lot of ukiyo-e woodblock prints are ghost stories. So,
Mhm.
or like they're depictions of ghost stories. So that has a lot of information too. So the what is it? The Tokyo National Archive, I
Mm.
believe is what it's called. They have digitized a huge number of woodblock prints and other artifacts that you
Mhm.
can go and look at more up close than if you were actually at the museum, because you can
Mm.
zoom in. They've really done a great job of taking very high quality photographs of
Mm.
these items and pictures and woodblock prints, and you can look at them and they're so cool. Another really cool resource that I found, it's no longer available right now, but it pops up occasionally, is um the Hyogo Prefectural Art Museum did an exhibit on witchcraft, and it was a Harry Potter exhibit, but then they also like weaved in Japanese witchcraft, which is called onnyodo,
Mm.
and it was a really, really interesting exhibit, and that was really fun. So sometimes you can see it like pop up here and there. You have to find it,
Yeah.
which is with a quick Google search. But yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people, once you get into it, it's really interesting, and you find the history, and you try to, you say, I want to learn more about it. It's like finding the research is almost like nerve-wracking, right? Because you can't find certain things, especially where you're situated or where you're located, could be a headache just to find some information. And for me it is, because I'm situated in a place where everything is like, where do I go, right? Where do I find anything?
Mhm.
But yeah, it depends on where you live, and depends on where you live in Japan. It depends on what you want to look looking for information for. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's almost nerve wracking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, but it's there if you're willing to look for it.
It's
That
out
is,
there. Yeah.
yeah,
Anytime we tell people about Okiku the doll, they get so mad that they've never heard about it in America.
yeah,
And I'm like, I'm surprised because according to legend, she can visit you in your dream.
yeah.
Yeah. They're creepy. They're
And
super
then when
creepy.
people look up the picture, they're just like, "This is a creepy looking doll." I'm like, "Well, it is over 100 years old, to be fair."
Yeah. Yeah. There, and if you're into creepy dolls, there's a whole temple of creepy dolls where people discard their very old dolls, because in Japan, in the Shinto belief, a lot of yokai come from sentient items. So
Yes.
once an item reaches 100 years old,
Yeah.
then it gets a soul, and that includes dolls.
Yeah.
So there is a shrine, I
Mhm.
forget where it is, that has the creepy dolls.
There's a
Yeah.
shrine here it doesn't have anything on display, but they're the kind that if it gets to that point, you can either bring it in or request a box. They send you a box, you mail it back, and they do this kind of ceremony, and then they burn the items because they're like, "No, we're not messing. If it's gonna be haunted, we're not
Mhm.
gonna mess with it. We're just gonna burn it."
Yeah.
Yeah, just burn it. Burn it with fire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they even said, like, if you can't make your way here, we'll just send you a box. Just figure out what size box you need, mail it back to us. We'll
So
go
funny.
ahead and do the
Yeah.
ceremony, and we'll burn it.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And that's how they deal with haunted items here.
Yeah,
They'll
Yeah.
give them to a temple, and they'll burn them.
Yeah.
so funny.
But it's funny you said that because that doll is now just over 100 years old,
Mhm.
and obviously its head is made of porcelain, and it's made with its mouth closed. But now her mouth is starting to slowly open,
Mhm.
the monk said that when they look in, they see what looks like children's teeth starting to what would be, you know, the gums.
It's gonna be a hard no for me.
Yeah, and that's what people are starting to be creeped out by
Yeah.
because even in the picture now you see what looks like two front teeth, but
Mhm.
instead the monk said it looks like children's teeth, but if you look at the picture, people are just like, why do they look pointed?
Mm,
Whose children's teeth are this pointed?
gross.
And that's what we tell people. That's what's interesting about this doll. For some reason now its mouth is starting to open and it's developing teeth.
So creepy. So creepy.
They still can't figure out why her hair is still growing out.
Ugh. Yeah. Mm-mm.
Like yes, it's made of human hair, but it doesn't explain why it's still growing.
Yeah. It's no. Yeah.
Um,
So creepy.
well, you know what? Japan has its own level of creep factor of certain things, right? And
For
if you're not
sure.
used, yeah, some can be scary. Some can be, oh, that's cool. Like for us, it's cool. For the other people, like, no thanks.
Yeah. Like I always say, I'm not superstitious, but I am stitious. So
Yeah.
no, thank you.
I started
Oh.
adapting some of the superstitions here in Japan, like the what is that thing called, Irene, on New Year's you put on your door?
Um. Uh. It's. I mean, that you put on your door. Um. It's
No, the
for good.
straw one. Yeah,
Yeah.
you put on
Yeah.
your door.
Yeah. Yeah. I forgot the name of it. I'm sorry. Uh. It's just to prevent. It's just for good luck. That's all it
It's
is.
supposed to bring good luck throughout the year if you put it on your door.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
We started doing that. Like, well, if it's gonna bring me good luck, what What I have to do is we'll just
Yeah, yeah. We do one every year too. And here in Ehime, oranges are super famous. So
Yeah.
that's
they
the popular
often
one that's supposed to go on.
So they put oranges right here. It's
Yep.
rice. That we use here. It depends on which part of prefecture where you're from. Depending on what they use, right? So yeah, here it's rice. What is yours? Yours is oranges and
oranges,
Amanda.
yeah.
I think it's oranges here too.
Yeah.
Let me see what it's called. I always forget the
Yeah,
name.
I have one still here and I can't remember the name.
Ah, shimekazuri. Shimekazuri is what it's
Mm-hmm.
called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
usually I have a store where I can go where I can make mine, but do I have the time
I mean,
to
you have a
make it?
store for everything there. It's Tokyo.
Yeah. I can learn how to make. I know how to like they're coming out right now where you can make your own, right?
So fun.
Yeah, I don't have the time to do that. I wish I
Mhm.
could. I wish I do.
Yeah.
Those are coming out where you can make your own Christmas one to put on the door. I go, yeah. Sorry. I just gotta find time to do that.
Yeah. It sounds like fun.
Yeah.
It's still crazy to me that on Christmas they eat fried chicken, mostly KFC, here on
Yeah.
Christmas Day.
Do you know where that comes from?
Yes, I learned about that, and I'm like, it didn't happen until the first KFC in Japan. Their manager, and he said it was around Thanksgiving, and there was foreigners in there,
Mm-hmm.
and they said, "Man, I miss having turkey on
Mhm.
Thanksgiving." He overheard this because obviously most people here in Japan either don't have an oven or
Mm-hmm.
they're what I call the easy bake ovens because they're
Mhm.
tiny. They can't fit a turkey.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't
Every
celebrate Thanksgiving.
They don't celebrate
No.
Thanksgiving,
No.
obviously, so there's no reason
No.
for them to, be buying turkey. But then he thought, what's close to turkey here is chicken. So he's like, wait a minute. What if we turned Kentucky Fried Chicken into what is it? Forgot to Kentucky for Christmas, so that he
Yeah.
somehow was able to advertise this so well that he changed a whole entire tradition for Japan.
Yeah, yeah.
To
The
now where
the
they eat
Christmas
fried
chicken and
chicken.
the Christmas cake.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
So fun.
I'm lucky because I have a bigger oven. So,
yeah. She bought
uh,
her special because she's like, "Well, I have mine is." I'm like, "Irene, you're special. Your oven is special." Because I even showed people. I'm like, I specifically got my apartment because it had an oven. However, it is so small, and I tell people, and I was like, "You Americans basically think of a 4-piece muffin tin, whatever you want to call it.
yeah.
That's the biggest thing that can go in that oven.
Yeah,
So,
right. It's a hard
or,
life.
yeah,
Sometimes I just want to make a casserole.
I was like, I can't do that because my
Yeah.
oven's not big enough.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's
Most
Yeah.
why.
people either most people have like a burner stovetop and a fish broiler.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
I gotta get a bigger oven this year. I want to get a bigger oven. My husband
I
goes,
mean, yours is already bigger than most people in Japan. So,
because every year I make Halloween cookies, right? And I make Christmas cookies, right? And
I used to make Christmas cookies when my oven is just not. You would be
and I
like
usually send it
3
to
at a
Amanda.
time.
I send it to Amanda because I usually make two trays, right? I can make two trays, so I can make about 30 in one batch, and the only thing it takes a lot of juice, right? Takes a lot of electricity in the house, but I'm so used to it. So every year I make a huge batch of cookies. I make a huge batch of every year I do that. And I said, yeah, I want a bigger oven. I told my husband, he goes, He goes, yeah, right. And I said, and my husband says, you better make room for your deep freezer. I go, why? Because we have to buy a turkey this year. I go, okay, yeah. So usually I have to empty out my deep freezer, I think, so I can put my turkey. And getting a turkey in Japan, it's like waiting for they come to roost at your house because
Oh.
yeah, it's not easy, right?
Mhm.
And it's not cheap either.
Oh no, especially because it's shipped in.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
not cheap at all.
no, even I had trouble finding cranberries for my cranberry sauce, right?
Yeah. Where do you even get cranberries here?
Oh, I used to go to the big, huge store in Aoyama, and it's an international grocery store for people who live who come diplomats come overseas, and they have a whole bunch of um like uh um housing for diplomats. They have
Mm.
embassies around, so that's where I go. Right, it ain't cheap. Let's put it that way. I can't live without my store.
That's nice.
Yeah. So I have to buy. I buy. I buy my cranberries. I buy whatever I get my peanut butter. I buy my cranberries. I buy everything there. Yeah. You know.
So
I have.
jealous.
Yeah.
So jealous.
You know. I think. And I have to have my herbs. I have to have my herbs. I have to have all that. So, yeah, that's what I usually get. And before, you know what? I couldn't even find canned pumpkin for I used, uh I've been too busy, so I haven't been able to make pumpkin pie this year for
Mm.
Thanksgiving. So I couldn't find canned pumpkin, right? Because they didn't ship it. So you say
Mm.
I had to get my friends send me a whole bunch of canned pumpkin because without that, yeah, you're it's really hard for other people to understand, right? When you're in this country, certain things you can't get,
Yup.
right? Yeah. Like,
Yeah. Peanut butter, tiny jar, 500
yeah,
yen.
yeah. Oh, me, it's like 3,000 yen. Like, for me, it was like $50.
What?
Yeah,
For peanut butter?
yeah,
So she has
Good.
people sending her peanut butter because she's like, yeah, I spend a lot of money on peanut butter, but I do it because I love it.
yeah,
Yeah. I also
yeah,
love peanut butter.
yeah. Me too. Me too. Me too. I can't live without my peanut butter,
Mhm.
And my
Yeah.
kids, they love peanut butter too, so they're getting used to it too.
Yeah.
They just take a spoon and they go in it and they start eating it. I go, hey.
That was a
Yeah.
Some for
$10
me.
thing of peanut butter. Yeah.
Put it on some bread. They go, no, I'm gonna do this. I go, whatever.
Uh,
Oh gosh. I go, okay, whatever. Like, not gonna argue. It, like living in Japan, depending on where you live or depending on how far you are from some places, finding stuff is like a nightmare, right?
it is a whole ordeal for sure.
Yeah, get used to it, right? Or you start buying it online.
I have definitely bought it online before. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or when I lived in Hiroshima, there was a Costco that was close by. So
yeah,
Costco's amazing.
yeah.
When you lived in Hiroshima, did you see the statue of the Hibagon?
The statue of the what?
The Hibagon? That's
Hibagon?
yeah. That
No.
is their version. That's the Japanese version of Bigfoot. He was seen
Oh,
in northern Hiroshima.
Mhm.
Hibagon. Okay.
But he's only 5 foot tall. And we
Whoa.
talked to some Bigfoot researchers. They're like, "Well, that sounds like an adolescent." I'm like, I don't know, because
Mm.
we don't have anyone here willing to study him. He's just only been seen as 5 foot tall.
Yeah.
So could be adolescent, could be an adult. I recommend someone coming over here and finding out.
Wow. Yeah, no, I never saw it. I'm Googling him right now.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting. Yeah, I didn't see it. I didn't get up to that part of Hiroshima.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's one of
Interesting.
the things we were always asked is, "You guys have Bigfoot?" I'm like, "Yeah, but he's only 5 foot tall."
Yeah.
So he's not
That's why.
Bigfoot, he's just foot.
Yeah. He's got big feet. You know.
So they call him, and that's they say it's our version of Bigfoot, basically. They call him
Wow, that is
Japanese.
so interesting. I
They call him Japanese
never
Bigfoot.
ever heard of him before. Oh my gosh, this statue. Wow. That
Yeah.
is something else. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Huh. Cool. Yeah, no, I'd never heard of him before.
Yeah. He's supposed to be in the mountains of of um of Hiroshima where he was supposed to be living,
Yeah.
and
He's supposed
nobody.
to smell. Yeah, it's supposed to smell. He's supposed to smell like rotting flesh. That's how
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know he's around. Is yeah.
delicious. Great.
Yeah.
Cool. Love that. Blech. Wow. Yeah. What my very, very cursory search has pulled up this one town
Mm-hmm.
that he's from.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently some people think he's the god of Hiba Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Mm.
He
Huh.
lives in Hiba Mountains. That's why he's Hibagan of Hiba Mountain.
Yeah.
So cool. Oh, Shobata. Shobata,
Mm.
Hiroshima is like way out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like in the mountains area.
Mm-hmm.
Like super duper far away from where I lived.
Mm.
Because I lived in like Hiroshima City. Oh my gosh, this is like, yeah, almost in Shimane. Yeah,
Mm.
super far away from me.
Mm.
Yeah, I lived in Kude,
Mm.
which is like 30 minutes by train away from Hiroshima City. And this is
It's
like
a port city. It's where ships come in. They build ships in Kure.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's where the Yamato was built.
Mhm.
The big
Yeah.
Yamato ship from World War II was built here. Or not
Yeah.
here. I'm not there anymore. Over there.
Yeah. There.
Have you ever heard of the Tomb of Jesus?
Yes, I have heard of the Tomb of Jesus.
There's a lot of people in Japan who's like, I've never even heard of this thing. It's up in Aomori. Is that
Aomori.
how you say it?
Yeah, Aomori Prefecture. Yeah, with all the apples. Yeah. I've heard of the Tomb of Jesus. Have not been to the Tomb of Jesus. Want to go really, really bad. It's pretty cool. There is in that same vein in Shimane Prefecture, there is a place that is said to be haunted by the souls of Christians who were killed during the Edo period when who was it? Oda Nobunaga, I think.
Mhm.
One of the shogun dudes
Mhm.
like eradicated all of the Christians out of Japan, and he
Tokugawa,
rounded
yes.
up all of the Christians from Nagasaki and then
Yeah.
took them to Shimane Prefecture and like tortured them for a really long time, like
Mhm.
horrible things, and they died. And yeah, so now it's said to be haunted by the souls of these Christian people, and now there's a church there, and then there's like a memorial for them there.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's a pretty weird place. My husband's dad is from Shimane Prefecture, so when we went to go visit family, we went up there. And Shimane is just a cool prefecture anyways, because it has Izumo Taisha,
Mhm.
which is like the main temple.
Mhm.
And every year in, I believe, October, I can't remember. Uh, so in like the old Japanese calendar system, I
Mhm.
believe it's October is called the month without gods.
Mhm.
And but in Shimane, it's called the month of gods because all of the gods in Japan are said to go to Izumo Taisha and decide the fate of humans
Mhm.
for the rest of the next year.
Mhm.
So, yeah, for a whole month, all of the gods leave their local shrines and temples and they come to Shimane, to Izumo
Mhm.
Taisha, and they like have a little chit chat and decide the
Mhm.
fates of humans, which is really, really interesting.
Mhm.
Shimane is a really cool prefecture if you like spooky stuff. So I
Yeah.
definitely
I'm gonna have to go
recommend.
and check that out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shimane is a really, really cool place. They've got Izumo Taisha, they've got another shrine, not a temple.
Mhm.
That's pretty famous there. And yeah, they've got some cool places. Suano is the place where there is the haunted church with all the souls of the Christians. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's very interesting.
It seems like yeah, when the ship came to Nagasaki, it seems like Christians had a bad rap. And grandma says, yeah, well, they were crucified. Yeah, that did happen. Um,
Hmm.
there's a place on a big hill in Hiroshima, and not in Hiroshima, in Nagasaki, where they were crucified. And there's a place in Kyoto too, in the mountains, where they were also crucified. So, and it's pretty haunted. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. There was
yeah.
Japan did not want missionaries
No, no,
during
no.
the 1600s. They saw what was going on in the other countries and they were like, "No, thank you. We're just going to
Yeah, yeah,
close it up."
yeah. The thing is that the one in Nagasaki you can visit. The one in Kyoto you cannot visit.
Oh,
Yeah, it's in the mountains, and they have a do not enter sign. It's it's pretty bad. It's supposed to be pretty bad, and
oof.
they don't want anybody venturing in there. But it'd be
Wow.
interesting. Yeah, it'd be interesting to visit, right?
It would be. Yeah.
Yeah. But in one church in Nagasaki, which I've been to, which I you can go into, they have the recovered femur bones of the priests that were crucified. Yeah.
Oh. So then
Yeah.
they're now like relics kind of a thing.
No, they put it into the wall so you can look at it.
Into the wall? Wow.
Yeah, they have a little wall where they put a glass in there, and they have the bones of the two priests that were crucified.
And it's in a shrine or temple?
No, it's in a church. It's in a
Oh, it's in
Catholic
a
church.
church. Okay, a Catholic church. Okay, so these are like relics now. I don't know if they
Yeah,
would necessarily be considered relics because are they sainted? Are these priests sainted or whatever?
they never said that. They just put their names
So
like Father
cool.
somebody,
Not
and
cool.
yeah, yeah.
Cool is not the word I want to use, but it is
No,
kind of cool.
it is. It's kind of like the creep factor, right?
Yeah, for
And
sure.
they
Well, I
put
mean, the Catholic Church is full of creep factors, so
yeah, yeah,
there's there's a lot of weird stuff when it comes to mummified bones and fingers and hearts
yeah,
and
yeah.
blood and lungs and
Apparently,
stuff.
the parishioners found the bones of the priests, and so they recovered it quietly, secretly, and quietly, and they give it to the church, and the church kind of like displays it now in public. You have to be in the church, or you have to pay a certain fee to go in the church. And if you're Catholic, you can go there free. Um, yeah, I've been there. I looked at. I took a picture of it. You know,
I mean,
for shame, right? Yeah. My husband, take a picture really quick. I said, okay, I'll take a picture.
Anyways, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah.
We'll definitely have to have you back for part 2, part
Yeah.
3,
Yeah, I would love to
whatever.
come back.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much again for taking the time and joining us, and hopefully everyone else enjoyed it. We'll definitely talk later about. We'll
Yeah.
definitely have you on again. We'll talk more urban
Yeah.
legends and stuff in Japan. So
Yeah.
Mhm. I love it. I could talk about it all day.
Yeah.
hopefully
Yeah.
everyone else out there. Bye. We'll see you later. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you
Thank
later.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
you.